Okay, I got about a million problems tuning and all kinds of stuff on this, but I'm going to try it in any case. So this is going to be another version of Those Days. Can't talk too long because it's all right. I want to do it a bit slower than I did yesterday. I don't know, that might not be a good idea. Maybe I'll go for the same pace that it was written at. I want to use a microphone, but I can't. I've got an open air one there that is picking up everything by my voice. Because I'd need to stand there for it to pick my voice up. I've tuned this guitar 4 different ways in the last 20 minutes. B string out, G string sharp. I just can't get it how I want it to go. I wanted a certain melancholy in it, but then I wanted to go, I went with the D. I wanted it to be up a little bit more, but that's E sharp, you know. I wanted to do it slower. Okay, I'm going to try it that way. Camera 2 on. Right, unfortunately camera 2, you're not going to get very much of this song in because it's too long, but we'll do what we can. So, well, lyrics everywhere here. This is Those Days. This starts in March 2020, but starts in the present, and it goes back to 1961. This is the story of my life, and then it finishes in March 2020. I'm leaving out the last 3.5 years for reasons. There are other songs that will tell you that, and I'm going to try it in a slow pace. Can't remember if I turned the other camera on, so I'm going to go over here and double check. Yeah, I did. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember those days when the sun always shone. Such joy in my heart that could only come from beyond. My soul was emancipated from all of life's pain. A love that will endure when nothing else remains. The violets were blooming and the nightingale sang. I could start a new sentence, then let the words hang. You knew what I was thinking. Your smile told me so. Those days are so blessed, I will never let them go. I'd stumbled barefoot down many a dark street. You don't really lose if you don't accept defeat. I sang in injustice's face all night long. Those days, all I needed was a stage and a song. I knew tender lips, I learned that they could speak cruel lies. I heard closing doors echo vague replies. I gazed out on the scenery of life's rich tableau. Those days I went where the breeze chose to blow. I met new allies down every beaten track. Some went where I would not, and they never came back. You can have all the cards, but the house always wins. Those days no one cared where the ending begins. I saw heartbreak and hatred from the first days of my youth, and I turned every one into a poem of truth, and I never surrendered when nobody seemed to care. Those days I walked where angels would not dare. Fortune ignored me when I hailed her down. Kisses would reward me and then say, get out of town. A plateau could be a dungeon, only later you knew. Those days my calling card said just passing through. I slept on cold steps, huddled up beneath the moon, listening while inside sinners ransacked the room. I had a smile to defend me from jealousy's assault. In those days, they tell you it was all your own fault. I've dined at banquets and I've known famine's touch, and when it came to love, things didn't change that much. If there's despair in the air, you're gonna breathe it in. Those days whittle your dreams away till there's nothing left to trim. I've been paraded in chains on bleak twilight nights, falsely accused, and nobody read me my rights. Every judge I faced had a black cap on his desk, and back in those days I could not care less. I drank from bitter waters and sipped the sweetest wine. Even when the well was salted, I said it tasted fine. Every time I put my marker down, someone had been there before me. Those days I opened battened doors and whispered, you were born free. I strode on burning coals in the capitulation zone, reassured the destitute, you are not alone. When no one looks you in the eye, it's a sign that something's planned. Those days I stared them down and put black coins in their hands. The self-acclaimed, they scorned me when I walked past their table. They knew who I meant though when I talked to them in fables. The holiest voices often sing the darkest songs. They fear for those days when you say, I know who I am. Every place that I left, I never returned. There's no hiding from the chances that you've spurned, and you only see your mistakes with the view of hindsight. Those days, everything seemed to be black and white. I jeweled with swordsman, with a rapier pen. Even if I went down, I got up again. If some master's hand exists, it had a clenched fist. Those days I knew I was not on heaven's list. Everything I own, someone, they said, that's not yours. When you win, you find somebody's adjusted the scores. The silence is loudest, the aloner you are. Those days I learned a kiss leaves a scar. You don't know what deep means until you confront your soul, and you realize that in your own life you have little control. Wounds never heal when they're inflicted on the young. In those days, the invisible choirs had already sung. I knew there were times I had bullets on my tongue. I lost sight of my targets and let fire burn everyone. You can never run fast enough to escape your past. Those days I was laughing, now the devil laughs last. Most faces that I saw had a mirror painted on. I knew whose visage was true, but when I got there they'd gone. I put flowers on the graves of the dawns I won't know. As I recall those days, life was a traveling show. There came a time I grew sick of it all. I'd watch Jericho be pillaged when I blew down its wall. Its innocence ravaged on the harsh, dusty plain. Those days I swore, no, never again. As the hours crawled by, I raised a head. I cast hope to the gutter and left it for dead. I'd given alms to the poor until they were rich. And when those days had closed, they left me to starve in the ditch. When I came to a dead end, I kept pressing on. I was curious to know what lay just beyond. I'd been up and down, but never right or left. Those days it didn't matter if I had one more breath. I never save memories, they're better left gone. Everyone was an orphan in the place I came from. The mayor's wife told me I can sell it if you'll steal. But even in those days I could see a bad deal. I booked into a hotel with one in the chamber. I met someone there, I don't want to name her. No prayer was ever answered in peace, love or war. In those days you will find what you're not looking for. I had many a muse, and most made me weep. They'd ransack my emotions when I was begging for sleep. They took no little delight in seeing my tears. Those days they paraded them as cruel souvenirs. I had my shield up, but she pulled it away. You've been hiding too long, her smile seemed to say, why live in daybreak of hubris and hate? Right half of those days before it's too late. A route opened up through the fronds of the mist. Kindness can knock you down faster than a fist. You're only out of options when you're afraid to choose. And those days are the ones you're guaranteed to lose. rolled up some jasmine and handed it to her. I ran my hands through her silken hair, and she did not demur. When no words are needed, you're speaking the most. Those days I recall, exercising the ghosts. Fate spun its wheel, and I let the ball roll. Every wave hits the shore beyond anyone's control. We danced in the moonlight, and we watched our shadows melt. Those days bore a love that can never be felt. The morn that you came, I was born to. The meaning of life was clear into view. Whatever I'd acquired, I needed no more. Those days took the padlocks off of every door. The time that we spend, we can never replace. So treasure each moment and keep them all safe. Your smiles and your words are etched deep in my heart. Those days might be done, but they'll never depart. I've been clambering on rocks in a hurricane's thrall. Now the storm is silence, and I see clear of it all. What does it matter what I have been through? Those days were the ones that led me to you. What do you reckon? Needs a few more verses? A chorus?